Hey guys, welcome to Steelers Talk. I'm Joe Camrota, joined by John Height. And the Steelers just beat the Seattle Seahawks in preseason week one. Kenny Pickett, rookie quarterback, Pittsburgh Steelers, leads a game-winning drive. Steelers win 32-25. Here are our first reactions to the game. John, what'd you think? I know you weren't able to watch all of it, but
Yeah, Joe, I was able to watch at least the end of it, and I watched all the highlights that I have so far. I'm gonna plan to actually sit down and go through the rest of it probably the next day or so. But from what I saw, I mean, definitely a lot of more good things than bad things. I mean, obviously coming in with a win is always great. It's just the preseason. Seeing all the quarterbacks throw at least one touchdown tonight. I mean, obviously the defense is going to be much weaker when you're getting to the Mason Rudolph second stringers, and then even Kenny Pickett. I just think it was still great to see a guy like Kenny Pickett who has been so highly touted. He got his Pittsburgh moment. You saw Heinz Field or Acrisure Field, whatever it's called now, go absolutely bananas for him. Welcome into the Pittsburgh community and how passionate the fan base is, and he balled. I mean, final stat line 13 for 15, 95 yards, two touchdowns. That is efficiency at its finest.
game-winning touchdown too. He has the cojones, as so I'd say. He's got onions down there. He knows
He
what he's
did
doing.
he did though. He took a bad sack, and I will say that like towards the end of the end of the game, he took a bad sack. They ended up losing the ball. They were able to get the ball back, and he amended his mistake by driving down the field again and
I
the
will
game
say
winning
this though, I would
touchdown.
have liked him to throw it away on that fourth down sack. That was
Me
also a
too.
terrible play call. That was also a terrible play call. I mean, I kind of see what he's doing, but Master Teague's a good a pretty good hard nosed running back. Just run it right at the middle and go QB sneak. Running a boot like that, play action, play like that. It wasn't a good call by Canada. I'll be honest, but yeah,
No.
he should have thrown it away. But
Yeah, that
it
was going on in my head. Like as he was running towards the sideline, you saw that the linebacker was pretty fast and he was really trailing on him. That's the kind of football sense that you'll get as you get more experience in the NFL. You got to throw that ball away so that they could at least keep the drive. And they were trying to go for a field goal at that point. That knocked them out of field goal range, I believe. Um, but
Mark Robinson though with that big strip sack too,
that is
he
true.
can.
I mean, the camera kept pointing to Brian Flores. I mean, their linebackers, I think, are going to be really good this year, just from his influence alone. We didn't even talk about him in our first two episodes. The
Yeah.
impact that Brian Flores is going to have on this team.
Hopefully he can fix Devin Bush, who did not have a good showing today at all. Zero tackles,
No,
missed a couple holes,
bad.
he missed a couple gaps. So I mean, I
Yeah,
wasn't really impressed by our inside linebackers. Jack looked fine, but I mean, we expect Jack to look fine. Obviously, the defense isn't running anything too really, I guess, strategic, insane right now. It's very base type of stuff. And then obviously, I wasn't impressed with the run defense. But what this tells me is that if Cam Hayward, Tyson Alualu again, Larry O don't really play, if one of those guys get hurt, we might have problems on the defensive line run game again. But I do think if those guys all stay healthy, it'll be fine.
yeah, I agree. I think it'll be serviceable. Just as long as I have those three guys, and then the fourth. I know we debated the last episode who was going to fill that spot. I think by the end of preseason we'll get a better judgment of that, and those three alone. I mean, Cam Hayward's all pro, and we know what Tyson Alualu and Larry O are going to bring. So I'm not too worried there. I guess we'll start more with offense then. I mean, we talked about the quarterbacks already. What did you see from the rushing and receiving? I know George Pickens had a day. That's by my
I do want to
profile
say this
picture.
about I want to before we actually go to that, I would like to
Okay,
rank quarterbacks. What I thought. I thought
okay,
one, Mitch, two, Kenny, three, Mason. Mason, I think, had the best throw of the game, but the
easily.
problem was he should have thrown two picks. He was a little mistake prone. I mean, part of me likes the idea that he wasn't just going check down, check down, check downs every time like Kenny Pickett kind of did for most of his time out there.
Hmm.
But I mean, that doesn't mean just throw it into triple coverage like he did a couple times.
I agree. Yeah, I was reading tweets too that they said the Mason Rudolph still has zero awareness.
Oh,
In the
first
pocket
first
just
play he
in
got strip
general.
sacked. The Steelers recovered it, but it was just like, come
Yeah.
on, man. Like this is typical Mason Rudolph. This is what happens when he's there.
I mean, that was an absolute dime he did throw to George
Oh, that
Pickens.
was a
Very,
beautiful pass. I'm not going to take anything away. That best pass of the game by far.
some would say Santonio Holmes esque, just saying,
Yes, sir. Like we were talking about.
like episode two. I,
Yes.
I had to say it. And I mean, Mitch Trubisky. I mean, he probably did look the best overall. I mean,
He looked really good. I liked his mobility. He looked really good out there. Um,
because I mean, last year Ben, like, obviously it's going to be such a bad loss, losing Ben, our Hall of Fame quarterback. But I feel like Mitch Trubisky, at least like you mentioned, brings a lot more mobility than 40-year-old Ben had the last 3 years.
oh, he has a better arm than Ben did last year too.
Yeah, I mean,
That
Ben,
was really. It's like you take away those two things from Ben. What is Ben at that point? Because Ben, in his prime, is known for a guy who can move around in the pocket, evade pressure, and a guy who could sling it 60 yards. Ben could barely sling it 40 last year, and obviously he couldn't really move around. So it was bad last year.
yeah, I mean, as long as Trubisky is a serviceable starter, and can just be have more pros than cons. What I'm trying to say, like Ben, there were some games last year like the offense was stagnant. Part of that was Matt Canada's offense, but if Mitch Trubisky could just bring a little bit of something more than Ben did, they'll be competitive, which is
He
all we
will
can
be.
ask
I
for.
think I think our quarterback's going to be better than Ben last year. I mean, we might not have that clutch gene that Ben had because that was he never lost that. But overall, I mean, we should be able to do more with Matt Canada's offense. And then on top of that, I mean, I want to talk about this about Mitch. He threw a touchdown, but it was a blown coverage. Gunnar Olszewski, I could be butchering his name. He was just wide open in the corner. But again, he got out of the pocket, made room, and found him. I mean, that's all you can ask for. If a team's going to blow coverage, you got to make him pay for it. So I thought he looked pretty good out there. He pushed it downfield a little bit, and then yeah,
And Mitch Trubisky went 4 for 7, 63 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, that's efficient. That's
that is efficient.
what you like to hear. I mean, Mason Rudolph went 9 for 15, 93 yards, the 1 touchdown. But what were half of those yards on that one throw alone? Would you say to George Pickens, or maybe
I
a
don't remember how
decent
long
mid?
it was. It felt like he let it go from like the 30 or 40, so maybe, but it might have just only been like a 23-yard touchdown pass or something like that. But
26, 26.
yeah.
Okay.
So I think it was like a shotgun snap, so he actually threw it further, and the fact that it went all the way into like the back of the end zone. But like, you know what's funny about Mason Rudolph? I want to say this. Every time he throws a football, it just looks like it's a bat. Like I don't like the way it comes off out of his hand. It looks like it's just like just floating up there. But boy, does sometimes he just throws a beautiful like it's like an oxymoron. What I'm saying is because it comes down, it's like wow, that was a great throw. But when he lets it go, I'm always
It
like,
looks bad.
it's
Yeah,
like
no, no. I actually, it's his release point, or like the actual release of the football as
yeah,
it's coming off his fingertips. It looks bad, and then, I mean, that was a beautiful pass.
it was
Like,
amazing.
yeah,
It was incredible. It was like when I saw that, I was like, okay, we really might have a QB competition going. Then he kind of stunk it up the rest of the game, but
yeah. I mean, as long as Mitch Trubisky could make throws like that, which you would hope out of an NFL starter. I mean, it was a great throw, but a good NFL starter, I feel like everyone can make a throw like that.
yeah,
Like, as long as Trubisky could do that, it's his job, and it will be his job, I'm sure, come week
yeah.
one.
I mean, Pickett looked great too. I mean, I would have liked him to. I mean, he checked it down a lot, but I will say his biggest thing was, boy, can that man move? All
He's
those runs,
fast.
he was moving around. Those he got maybe close to. I
Let me
think
see.
I don't know how many ground yards he had, but it had to be close to like 30.
He had 3 carries for 16 yards,
That's it.
but
He
his,
just
his
stacked.
longest was 8.
He was moving the change with that. He looked good. Also, shout out Jalen Warren in the running backs position. He looked amazing.
He looked really good. Yeah, Jalen Warren had 6 carries, 34 yards. And then he also had 4 catches for 30 yards and the touchdown, which he caught from Pickett, right? Yeah, I think it was
Yes.
Pickett.
Yeah, that
That's
that
great. Good for him.
and Master Teague looked really good too, and then Anthony McFarland had his flashes. No Benny Snell today, so I mean,
No Benny
and
Snell.
no Najee,
Um,
obviously.
Hayward's brother caught a touchdown. Or no,
That's what I was gonna say earlier too. I
did
meant
he
to.
catch a touchdown or did he just play really well? Or was it might have been like a 2-point conversion or
I
something?
think he got 2 point conversion, but
That's what it was, not a
he looked
touchdown.
great today. I'd honestly say he might have been the best player on the off. Obviously, Pickens is the best player on the offense, but he was incredible. Connor Hayward played the entire game. He was like playing with the first team too. I mean, the guy is incredible.
He's good. I mean, it's not just the nepotism thing that it's Cam Hayward's
Well, the
brother. I
guy
mean,
legitimately played amazing. I was like, wow. I know he
yeah.
had it in him.
I mean, we've talked in the past about the whole Derek Watt situation, which and that's also a different situation because he is a fullback compared to a tight end, which is a
I was
really
like, are they
powerful
just
guy.
drafting this guy because he's a Hayward? And now it's like this guy is like really good.
I mean, when they drafted T.J. Watt, it was like, oh wow, it's a Watt. We'll see. But then now
Yeah,
he's, you know, defensive player of the year, best defensive player in the league, arguably.
absolutely.
And I mean, how did the defense look? I mean, 25 points is a lot. What did you
I
see
don't.
out of like the linebackers and secondary specifically? Because we talked a lot about that last week.
Linebackers not that good, but again, they didn't really. I mean, other than Miles Jack and like Devin Bush, Robert Spillane, they didn't really do. I mean, there weren't really that many starters out there. Obviously, the outside linebackers for the Steelers not good. After Highsmith and Watt, in my opinion, I think. I mean, Tuska should not really be seeing the field at all. But
No.
I mean, again, you're not going to risk Watt and Highsmith in a game like this. So
Look what happened to Zach Wilson. That is a glaring reminder to the NFL. Do not play your starters like any meaningful minutes in these games. They're worth nothing, and it's not worth your
exactly,
season ending.
exactly. Like imagine losing Najee, T.J. Watt, Cam Hayward, like a huge player like that in preseason. No, you don't want that. I still remember losing Sean Swisham and blowing a
I
few games.
remember that
Yeah, towards ACL. Then you had to try out Josh Scobie out there missing field goals for.
disaster.
Exactly.
But like, look at the Jets now. I mean, they're saying it's only 2 to 4 weeks, thankfully, which is you'd love to hear that. But losing your starting quarterback within like the second drive of the preseason, your season's over by that. Like,
He should have just slid. And that's one thing that's something that I want to see the Steelers coaches get into Kenny Pickett's head. Why is he diving forward all the time? Slide.
I did see that a lot. Yeah,
He
I
was
was like,
diving forward all the time. And I get diving forward if you need the yards and stuff like that. But in those situations, you already picked up the first down. Just slide.
yeah,
You don't get
he
hit.
he
You need
looked,
to
he looked
work on
like an
that.
Olympic diver.
Yeah, literally. He's moving like Mo Salah out there.
So yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of things that you're going to see Kenny Pickett kind of absorb as he actually gains experience, which preseason for him is important.
Yeah.
And to be
I
able
can see
to
him jumping
get it.
Mason Rudolph in his depth chart if he continues to play
I
well.
mean, I really hope he does because I think it's more beneficial for his development if he's the backup as opposed to a third string.
I agree.
Like Mason Rudolph is not an NFL, starting quarterback. I think he'll be a career backup personally. I mean, no slight against him. He does have some arm talent, but just the offensive awareness isn't there. We've seen it in the past. But Kenny Pickett is the guy that's supposed to be their guy of the future. So you want him as close to the starting job as possible without having the starting job because that's Trubisky's at the moment.
Also, Mason Rudolph deserves better than Pittsburgh. Let's be honest. He's been treated very unfairly by fans. I mean, the guy got booed when he came into the game. He came into the game before he even had to play, and the crowd booed him. Like he needs to go somewhere else, and just for his own good, because he doesn't deserve this. Look, he hasn't been great in his career, but you know he doesn't deserve to get booed. He's a backup.
Yeah, he could be a great backup on another team. Honestly, like
Give him to the Jets.
I was going to say the Jets, Jaguars, one of these bottom teams. I mean, he could be a good backup. And
Yeah,
I mean, if Zach Wilson is out, I mean, they have Joe Flacco, so I guess that kind of solves that. But like, there's teams out there that need a decent backup, and he is a decent backup, I will say. Like,
yeah,
there's worse backups out there than Mason Rudolph.
exactly. But yeah,
Um,
um, what was I
do
also
we,
going to bring
do we
up? I
cover
thought
everything?
Liao looked pretty good on the line, on the defensive line. I
Yeah,
remember one
yes.
play he almost had a sack. He didn't get it, but I was like, okay, that wasn't bad. He looked
I
good.
mean, some guy had 7 tackles. Oh, Buddy Johnson, the linebacker,
Yeah, he had his flashes.
he
He didn't
looked
look
good.
great at all times. There were some blown coverages here and there, but he was up and down. He didn't look that bad. Obviously, Mark Robinson with the huge play at the end of the game. That's a splash play right there. You always like splash plays in preseason. But Keller Witherspoon went down with an injury. Intrigued to see how that ends up.
Ugh, awful. Their secondary got even worse.
Yeah, we'll see. Levi
I mean,
Wallace, I thought looked okay. Trey Norwood looked fine. Edmonds is Edmonds. I like Edmonds, but he doesn't really move the needle. He's kind of just there.
kind of concerning for the secondary. I mean, Drew Lock is their starter. He went 11 of 15, 2 yards, 2 touchdowns, so he carved them up.
Well, Geno
What?
started.
Oh, so he's. I mean, okay, even worse. Why is Geno Smith throwing for over 100 yards in the preseason? They couldn't
He
hold.
threw. He started. He played 2 quarters though. He played till halftime.
I don't know. It's Geno Smith. Like, come on.
Hey, Geno Smith almost beat the starting defense last year in
Oh yeah,
Pittsburgh.
I know. The Steelers are gonna have such an issue with their secondary this year. I can already like visualize it.
I'm
Got like
still
for 2
scarred from
weeks.
2014 to 2018.
Yeah,
That was bad.
Artie
Cortez,
Burns.
Cortez Allen.
Yeah, I mean, I just would like to see them do better against these two
I
guys. I mean,
agree. I agree. I think the one thing you got to just remember is that there's no schemes being put in to try to disguise a blitz. Disguise. There's no disguises really going on. So
yeah, no, I agree, and they'll be able to clean up a lot of this. And I mean, their next preseason game is next Saturday, Trevor Lawrence Day. They'll be playing against Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars.
I bet
Um,
you Highsmith gets in that game. I bet you they play Highsmith that game.
yeah, I think so too. I think he'll get definitely some looks on
I think
defense.
Alu Alu might get a little bit of playing time too, and maybe Larry O just to knock off some rust. I don't think we see Cam Hayward or TJ Watt at all. I don't think we see Minka Fitzpatrick at all.
No, that Steelers Lions game on the 28th. No one better be playing that
I
game.
don't think anyone's going to be
No
playing in
one.
that game. I think that's going to be the Mason Rudolph, Kenny Pickett,
I picked it.
Chris
Extravaganza.
Chris. Oh, I think he's going to get some playing time too. I don't know how to say his last name. O'Duklin, I
Oh
think.
yes, yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't want to butcher it on our podcast.
Yeah, but yeah, I would like to see him though. I mean, I've heard good things about him in from college, but
Yeah, I mean we'll see, but they got two more preseason games: Jaguars and Lions, and then September 11th we opening it up against Cincinnati Bengals on the road.
that's
Difficult as
going to be
usual.
tough. That's going to be
That
tough.
team Ben used to always carve up for many years, and now without him, teams like him, the Bengals, the Browns, I mean, their whole division, honestly, it's
It's
going to be
rough.
so different facing against these teams without him. Even though he was kind of a shell of himself the last 3 years.
Yeah, the fact that think about it this way: he played 2 seasons after the elbow injury, right? He went 4-2 in the division during that time period.
Yeah, it's
That's
impressive.
insane. No, he didn't go 4-2. He lost. Yeah, he lost two to the Bengals last year, and he lost one to the Bengals in 2020. So that's three. He didn't play the second Browns game in 2020. So he went, what would that? I can't do math. That's 4 wins and then three, I think.
Yeah,
So that's he went 7-3 in the division in his washed king era. Not bad.
I mean he always had his way against the Ravens. With this Lamar Jackson Ravens, they were a team that are able to figure him out, and they better be because I mean they're gonna have to really have some offense against the Ravens this year because I just not thrilled about this secondary.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that secondary either. But yeah, I can't even spin it in a positive way. It's like if Ahkello Witherspoon looks like he did towards the end of last season, yeah, but we know he's an up and down player. Like I don't know, they don't have anyone to cover Jamar Chase. Let's not kid ourselves here.
He's gonna go for 200 receiving yards
Jamar
on the
Chase and T Higgins are gonna have their way against this defense, and then they got Tyler Boyd in the slot, which is just insane. The Bengals are a matchup nightmare for the Steelers, so just chalk up 0-1 week one, man.
I mean, everyone's saying how Joe Burrow is going to be one of the quarterback fantasy busts this year. Not week
Okay,
one, at
he
least.
could he could be a fantasy bust. That doesn't matter. He's going to be a NFL star. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
and,
think
and
Bengals fans care too much about how he plays in fantasy.
no, but I'm saying like that's been like a consensus for just because obviously fantasy football season's coming up as well.
Yeah.
But like week one, he could throw for 450 yards and like 4 touchdowns
Oh my gosh! And
easily.
start the hell. And if you have Joe Mixon like I have, I'm starting him week one. Joe
Yeah.
Mixon had like 400 yards total in the 2 games against the Steelers last year. The Steelers can't stop that run for some reason, and I don't know if it's going to change week one. So
I mean, that's a downfall, or one of the downfalls being in this annoying division is that you got the Joe Mixon Bengals, the Ravens' ridiculous run game that's now getting all those guys back
they
that
got
were hurt
J.K.
last
Dobbins
year.
back. I think
Yeah,
Gus Edwards is back.
Gus Edwards, Dobbins, and then the Browns still have Nick Chubb and Kareem
Kareem
Hunt.
Hunt, but Hunt might leave because he requested a trade, but we'll see.
But still, Nick
But
Chubb.
still, Chubb. Chubb is top 5 running back in the league.
Yep.
And then we got Najee, Master Teague, Jalen Warren, Benny Style football. It's it's perfectly AFC North football, Smash Mouth football. That's how it should be. Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, I mean, having Najee Harris, Steelers are right up there with those teams, but the Steelers' run
No,
defense has been so bad we've seen in the past that it's going to be even more of a glaring issue this year if they can't put up points maybe at first. Trubisky needs a couple weeks to get his feet under him.
yeah, and I will say this: like today did not look like um good for that run defense today at all. It didn't make any of those fears kind of calm themselves. But I will say this: we're not going to know how this run defense looks until week one. Let's just put it that way. Preseason's preseason. Cam Hayward, Tyson Alualu, and Larry just might not play at all this preseason. So
No.
we're really not going to see what this defense looks like until week one. And if they're not a top five unit, there's going to be serious problems for this team. But if they are a top five unit, this team could make the playoffs. I don't know if I want to say make noise, but maybe maybe a win or two if things go right on the offensive side.
All right. There's a ton of question marks, I feel like, for them to get back to the postseason this year. It's because it's not even like they're that bad of a team, which this is going to be definitely a transition year, definitely probably 2 or 3, who knows. Like their division, the Ravens and the Bengals it's gonna be so hard for them to compete with that type of talent just because they have their guys. I mean, Steelers are what? You would think maybe 2 or 3 years from Pickens. From Pickett, sorry.
Uh, Two. If it's three, there's a problem. Then they pick the wrong guy because there's no way Pickett should not be starting next season. If Pickett's not starting next season, then they made a mistake.
Then what if Trubisky does well this season? Like he does a good enough job to make the playoffs to get bounced in the first round. Do you play Trubisky next year or go with Pickett?
See what happens in training camp. And I mean, if Pickett puts up numbers where it's like, okay, this guy's a serious NFL starter, then it's like, okay, now you got something here. But I mean, if it's just average, but I don't know because I think this team gets carried by the defense. And I think they make the playoffs because I think it's a better team overall. Wait, I forgot on one point I wanted to touch on today. The pass blocking, O-line looked abysmal at times.
Yeah.
The run blocking, perfectly fine. It's improved. The pass blocking, my God, did Mason Rudolph and Trubisky have players in their face right away. I'm not going to really touch on the backups when Pickett was in there because that's just all backups. Those guys aren't going to see the field really. But James Daniels looked good and run, shaky and pass. Kendrick Green looked all right at best. Mason Cole I thought looked okay, and I don't really have anything to say on Dan Moore. I wasn't able to notice too much with him.
Mm-hmm.
And Okafor looked okay, but I mean, this offensive line does not look like it took a big jump.
No, but they get sacked 3 times total between Pickett and Rudolph.
Trying to think. Pickett got sacked twice for sure.
Yeah, Pickett got sacked twice, and I think Rudolph
I
got
guess
sacked once.
Mason might have got three. Once I should say.
1 to 3 total. Okay, I mean, again, preseason we don't know.
Yeah,
but that has to be an improvement, especially for Mitch Trubisky, because I mean, you go back to those Bears teams. Wasn't the offensive line a part of the problem?
there were so many problems in those Bears teams. He had no receivers. His offensive line wasn't that good.
Yeah, he's gonna have weapons. He's gonna have
He's
a
gonna have the
ton of
weapons
weapons.
now, and we'll see what happens with it. I mean, I would love to see him do well. I mean, I don't know if you remember back in during school, but I was pounding the table for us to sign Mitch. I really wanted us to get him because I'm like, this guy's the best, highest upside of quarterback in I mean, the free agency.
At a free agency, oh yes, of course. And
Yeah,
quick side note: where was Calvin Austin? Is it because he was?
he's hurt, and I hear it might be a Lisfranc injury, but I'm not sure. That's just what the Twitter sphere was saying.
I saw that because I mean,
He's apparently was in a boot.
he's in a boot.
That's what I heard. I
Oh, that's
cannot
not good.
confirm anything. I'm not an insider or anything like that, but this is what I heard from. I think it was Nick Farbaugh. I think was
Oh,
the
okay.
Twitter user who said it. But again, I could be mistaken.
I'm so excited to watch like George Pickens' rookie year this year. Like,
He's going to be a star.
especially if a lot of the pressure on defense, like a lot of the coverage is going to be focused on Deontay Johnson or even Chase Claypool, and George Pickens is like the 2 or 3. Like, oh my gosh, he's going to carve up defenses.
Put Deontay as the X, Pickens as the Z, and then Chase Claypool in the slot as the Y. And this Steelers offense could look dangerous.
It just depends on Trubisky and the quarterbacks if
Yep.
they deliver the ball to them because they'll be open. There's no doubt about that.
See,
I
the
mean, like,
offensive line gives them enough time to find them.
and that's true. They have to be able to deliver the ball to them, and B, they have to make sure they don't die by just getting lit up by opposing defensive lines.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought overall Steelers look good. You can't take too much. No, there's nothing real. You can't be like, oh, they won this game. They look good because they won, or they lost. Like you got to look more at individual players. The players that the Steelers won to play well all played well. So I think, and no serious injuries. If as long as Akella Witherspoon isn't out for extended period of time. Oh, Carl Joseph got carted off the field too. That's I guess from the sideline, so he'll probably be out for a while. So that's very unfortunate to him. But no real serious injuries as it seems like. So overall, big game for the Steelers. Big showing for everyone, and obviously pick a game-winning touchdown. What a way to cap off his first game in Acrisure Field.
It's Heinz Field, man.
Uh,
Look at beautiful Heinz Field
they
behind
took
me
the
right
ketchup
now.
bottles down. It's like that doesn't look right.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, look, see, there's the ketchup bottle right there. Like,
Yes, sir.
I mean, I can't wait for our show we're gonna have closer to the game, at least than I'll be at the Bucks game. I'm not sure if you're confirmed yet, Joe, but
Not gonna be able to go to that game anymore.
really, oh, that's okay. Well,
We'll do
I
something for it. We'll
yeah, we're
get
gonna
videos
definitely
from
do
you
some.
there, and we'll put them on
Yeah,
the YouTube.
yeah. Well, I'll vlog it or something like
Yes,
that.
sir. That's what we need.
Talking Joe with John,
Yes,
talking
sir.
football with Joe and John vlog of some sort for the Tom Brady game, the revenge game for all those
Love it.
years of misery.
We love it. But thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back next week to preview the Jags game and then obviously recap it too. So again, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys soon.